Let's go. Hello and welcome. Can we get a sound check in the chat, please? Sound check, sound check. Let's see if we got it working this time round. First time. Yes. We've done it. Okay, we're all good, we're all good. Hello and welcome to ECHOESTALK. This is the 8th in our long running series podcast on Twitch. Today we're going to be talking about trade and marketeering, and we have the one and only Eisenhorn with us today, and we have Sambrig, leader of Trimark, and we have a member of OBS and fellow content creator who is a fish in the bottom right. Say hello, everyone.
I am the CEO of OBS, but...
You're the CEO?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had both back in beta. Strength and honor.
Found out last week.
I didn't find out shit. I didn't know nothing. Someone told me it was Kaizen. I was a bit confused.
Watch out, female CEO over here.
Oh, once a month. No, we won't do that. I won't go into that joke. That'd be terrible. That's a terrible joke. Right, so today we're going to be talking mainly about trading and the supply and demand of the EVE market. Now, we do know there's going to be some major differences between how the market is run in EVE Online and how the market is run in EVE Echoes, because mainly we don't know the full mechanics of what Echoes is going to throw at us just yet. We have an idea, and the idea is based off of what we had in beta and what they've told us that is going to be implemented into the game. Now, there are a few of us who are currently localized testing at the moment, and some things that they've said are there, some things aren't, so we're still waiting to see what's going to be happening. Right, so who would like to jump off on their experience in trading? Who would like to be the first one to jump in? Should we have the new one? Fish, how do you like trading? Is it something you're going to do in EVE Echoes?
I love trading. I think it's a pretty fun profession. I think the market in EVE is a lot different than in other games. Being able, for example, if say someone is new, they buy a really expensive ship and they go fly it, a player can then loot all of that and then put it onto the market. And there's a lot of different kind of things you can build and sell. So I'm definitely interested in learning a lot more about trade and the market in general, and excited to see what kind of items immediately go for sale, because in the beginning of the game for beta, we noticed quite a bit of items became pretty popular, and it kind of always shifts. So it's a constantly changing beast. There's always going to be something to pay attention to. It's not something you can just leave alone and then hope you make profit.
100%. And if you've ever had experience in EVE Online with 0.1 trading or station trading, where you have to literally spend most of your day updating your thing, otherwise people just won't buy it, unless you're a patient person. If you have a lot of ISK, then you can wait a long time, but it's very micromanaging. Have you done any of that, Sam?
Yeah, I've spent a lot of my value in EVE was made from trading. It's one of those things, trading in EVE Online. Everyone talks about EVE Online as internet spaceships. Trading, you never undock. You never leave the station and you can run an empire with trading in the trade hubs.
I mean, if you do like RTS games or like the sort of empire type building games, there is some of an element to that in the trading, right?
Yeah. I also, in terms of the contrast between Echoes and EVE Online, the tax system is going to govern exactly how much of trading we can even achieve. But yeah, it's the idea of being able to take skill into your trading, put down like 10 or 15 buy orders, buy a whole heap of stuff at rates that people just want to sell, and they don't really want to actually sit there and get the best price out of them. They just want some money for them. That's pretty much the trader's dream.
Yeah, most definitely. But the main issue for me would be the difference between you being able to one ISK trade and the actual like modules. Say modules and ships, they can't be 0.1 or 0.2 anymore. There's no decimal places, so it's going to be very generic in the trading. Do you think that's going to make a major difference?
You'd think that it would just shift the decimal place.
Yes.
The people would just work with a single ISK denominator. It depends, and I think for the most part, what it depends on is, can you alter your trade before you have to, like, because in beta, in order for us to change the price by 1 ISK or whatever, cancel the trade, then put it
Yes.
back up. We
That
couldn't
was
edit the
annoying.
trade. And not only that, you're paying tax. You'd get refunded if you had buy orders up because you put
Yeah.
that money into escrow, but you would not get the refund if you were trying to sell something. You'd pay the tax, then you would delist the item, then list it again for the altered
For more
price so
tax.
that you'd actually sell it and then pay tax again.
That's
And it would
bas-
basically just be I do not believe that that is how they intend the system. I think that is a pure and simply a bug that they're going to fix. I think either the tax is to be refunded or it's to be altered such that it's not charged. Yeah.
Definitely, 100%. There's the Eisenhorn being an industrialist, being a massive, like, big time industrialist, and that's basically what you're gonna do. If you had to pay tax every time you changed an order, would that piss you off? Would that stop you from wanting to trade?
I mean, it's one of those where you have to try and pay as much attention to the market as possible, because one thing, there's lots of things that's different in Echoes than EVE Online. We're not going to have API, so we're not going to be able to download all that data and take a fresh look every day. That's going to be manual work. So from that regard, the danger of being undercut is about how much attention you are paying to the market versus your competitors, right?
Yes.
And very quickly learn, if you keep having to take a hit every time you relist, and you're going to have to get smarter about how you list and where you list. That's going to be a very, very interesting part of the game. And Echoes, again, when we say Echoes is a fresh start across many areas, across sovereignty, across the shifting sands of diplomacy, and the market is going to be one as well, because especially with the tech levels, what we're going to see is some really interesting shifts as different clone levels and different cog levels get to certain thresholds, and so how that affects ship costs, material costs, is not just from a purchasing perspective, raw materials, but also from a finished goods. It is going to be super fascinating, because you're going to get kind of bow waves of demand and bow waves of supply. There's going to be some real shortages at times. And let's not forget as well that PvP doesn't just exist in space, it exists on the market. Economic PvP is a real thing.
Yes, it is. Massive as well.
And
massive.
yeah, it can have massive effects on both diplomatic relations, or diplomatic relations can have an effect on that. And the fallout of that can really have huge effects on entities' abilities to complete their goals. And dialing back to the question that you asked me, I mean, I'm obviously, as an industrialist selling things, I'm going to be trying to make as few interactions as possible in that market, because losses mount up. The game is all about margins in every way, whether it's your economy in your DPS or your ability to tank, or whether it's your economy on every percentage sliver helps.
100%, 100%. There's the thing for me, the issue that I have at the beginning of the game, I think most people, especially newer players, think that the market will be set in stone from day one. So the market will have like a normalcy, so you can just fly in, you pick up your loot, you can fly straight to the market, and you'll sell for a decent amount of ISK. You're going to have, or you want to, instead of having to go farm your items, you're going to go to the market and you're going to try and buy a Mark 5 item that will be massively overpriced. In the beginning of the game, like the first couple of weeks to the first 6 months, I would say, well, it was 6 months before it starts to settle, 4 to 6 months.
We had it settling after, at the end of beta, we had a good settling market.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think people too need to realize they don't need to just go to one market in Jita. There are other places you can buy things. You don't just need to go to one area. You can source out cheaper goods in different areas. You just need to travel.
ITCs make trade hubs largely irrelevant.
Yeah, I think that's a great point as well, Fish, about Jita. Jita exists in EVE Online, and it always has done for a very long time. But EVE Echoes, if it is a thing in Echoes, it's It's purely EVE Online memory, and we could see that just completely destroyed by the way the Echoes market evolves.
The Echoes market, but the thing is that we know what they want to do with the ITCs. We know they want to allow you to be able to buy anything within a region at an ITC, anything surrounding, and from other ITCs to ITCs in different regions. So they want to sort of, I think they want to get rid of places like Jita, Heck, Amar. They want to get rid of these major hubs because I don't feel that the game will be able to handle the thousands of players sitting in Jita Station. Like, I think they're trying to spread the amount of people that will be in one place. Because we all know, look what happened in the beta, man. Jita got locked down. 300 maximum they had for a week, and then it went up to 500 because the system died. People were stuck in there for 2 weeks, and there was only 1,000 people in there. Like, it was insane.
And the stress testing wasn't just about those big battles as well. It was about how many people log on as Kaldari day one onto Jita because that's what you do, and crash everything.
Now, for any new types of players, what would be the skills that you guys want to train when we, like, in terms of trade? I mean, everyone's going to have to trade in some form or, like, in some way, shape, or form. So what are the skills that are most important to train?
At the moment, there are. I'll let Sam. He's probably got it right in front of him. Like the specifics. So go for it, Sam.
So there's 3 types of skills you were looking at trading, or there's 2, and then there's an offshoot. So trading, you've got affecting your tax and your fees specifically, which is accounting. Trade, which is affecting your number of orders, buy orders, and sell orders that you can put up. And the associate is your logistics, which is accepting courier contracts and making your bigger courier cargo hold, which we explained last week in the hauling episode. The other thing that I would mention is no, it's gone. Completely lost. Yeah, so those skills, accounting is really important. It's all about margins.
Yes.
So when you're looking at how much money you're going to be putting into escrow, like when you're putting up a buy order, and you are, let's say you're buying something for 100 mil. If you have good accounting skills, you might actually only put up 25 mil up front to maintain that buy order. That allows you to maintain multiple buy orders. Now, obviously, if you don't have the money at the point where the transaction occurs, then it gets cancelled. But the point is being able to actually enable yourself to be, you don't want to have all of your ISK locked up in escrow, and that's where that skill comes in.
Liquidity is super important.
Sorry, I remember what I was going to say. We are hopefully going to be seeing a contract skill come up because contracting is now going to be introduced, and hopefully we're going to have a skill that will be able to be skilled in so that we can make a lot of contracts, because they're going to be just as important as working on the market itself.
Especially for an industrial corp such as yourselves that are going to have hundreds and hundreds of contracts, even just for the corp itself, contracts, without even making money from outside. Within a massive corp, the amount of contracts that you'll have set up for people to just be able to run in, and they'll be able to grab a fully fitted ship from your main HQ, which is one of the major reasons why we all wanted contracts in the game from the beginning, because if we didn't have those contracts, it would limit what corps can do for each other, or what corps can do for their own members. Because in the beta, there was no corps, but if there was corps, contracts weren't going to be a thing. Trading wasn't going to be a thing. None of it was. You wasn't going to be able to trade anything with anyone. But we complained and complained and complained until they finally said, all right, we'll have your contracts. We'll allow you to trade some stuff. They gave us corp hangers for the corporations so we can trade between members in the corp without having to worry, unless you're an alpha, because you can't put in, you can only take out.
Contracts are going to be everything for a corporation. We're running our ship replacement program, our ore buyback, our loot selling. Everything is going to be run through contracts. Yeah.
Be a good thing. Do you
Taking
know
this back to kind of Fish was talking about originally, which was what's going to be useful for starting players, what skills. It's not just about the skills in the game, trade accounting, maybe contracts. It's also about And one of the wonderful things about Eve is those the skills that cross the border between game and real life. You know, cash will kill you like a heart attack in business. That's one of the sayings that every entrepreneur will live by. So liquidity is super important. Having your cash tied up in stock that doesn't move is one of those things that's really going to hinder your growth as a trader, the merchant, if you get caught up in that early game. So identifying the items that move quickly or easily, or even just selling it at a small margin to begin with, just to get the cash flowing, is actually super important.
Now, do you know, especially like from EVE Online, is there any type of items that seemed to do better in the beginning of the game that people might want to focus on?
It will be.
Sweet.
Yes, it really depends on what ships are shit in EVE Online, because the amount of cost it takes to build and how much most of the time with ships you're actually building at a loss unless you're in a large nullsec block and you can get all the stuff in.
That's the thing with ships in EVE Online. Everything has been tuned down to exact specifics so severely, and then you get someone who's like, well, okay, you're looking at the price of that ship because you bought the ore. I got my ore at half of the value that you're buying it for from my nullsec guy, so I can undercut you easily and still make a profit.
Yeah.
In the early game, everything is going to be in flux depending on the supply and demand. The supply is going to be in short, very short supply. Demand is going to be through the roof, but no one's going to have any actual ISK to spend because everyone's going to be buying their skills. So everything is going to, people are going to be selling stuff for super expensive prices and no one's going to be buying it. And then the prices are going to plummet until people actually start purchasing stuff. So the prices are going to fluctuate like crazy. But the thing to watch is going to be the tech level milestones. As soon as a tech level milestone occurs for the game itself, because everyone who's doing a Mega Combo Cog 3 will hit all the milestones at the exact same moment, they are suddenly going to have their world opened to the next level of ships. They're going to start building them, they're going to start trading them, and everyone is going to start wanting them. Overnight, the demand for retrievers is going to skyrocket. And the supply is going to go from nowhere because no one can build them before that demand also exists at the same time. So the first person to market will be the people who are most prepared, ready to sell, ready to build and sell from the get-go. And they're going to be the people who win the quickest. And this is going to be extreme short-term periods of high demand, low supply, high value, and then it's going to it's going to slowly go down. There was a point of time in the beta when I think it was the Christmas New Year when everyone suddenly got into retrievers, like all of the alpha. Sorry, all of the accounts that were just alternates that no one was bothering with skilling. Suddenly, you could just load up the SP and fly a retriever. That saw the price of storyline. What do we call it? The strip ore miners. That skyrocketed because suddenly demand went through the roof and no one could farm them fast enough. So that sort of thing. Like if I had seen that coming, I would have bought 50 of the damn things, not because I wanted to make a profit, because I needed 50.
I also think we kind of saw that with ventures too. Like initially ventures were kind of on the market, or they weren't on the market, they were scarce. And I remember as a total noob, I was like, ooh, I want to build a venture. I'm going to sell ventures. This is going to be so profitable. And by the time I actually made one and was able to sell it, there was tons already on the market. So it kind of fell behind. Like I got to, it took me too long kind of in terms of building the entire ship. So I was kind of curious in terms of, people who might be wanting to specialize in building maybe weapons or rigs or very specific type of things and then selling them. Do you guys think that is something that could be profitable?
Absolutely.
It will be, yeah. I just wish they had ammo at the beginning of the game, because ammo is always the nicest way of getting into industry with making and selling in EVE Online, for example. Even now, 17 years on, you can still find some really good ammo with a very nice margin, and it costs almost nothing to build, and then you don't make billions of ISK, but it really gives you the first stepping stone. I don't know what the first stepping stone for an industrialist will be in Echoes. Ventures. I was selling them for 30 million a pop for a venture free, and but even then, it's like, what are small things? We don't know if we can build all the modules. We don't know what modules we can build. They've said we can build modules, but we don't know what ones, if they can all be built, or I hope so. Because trying to find things like Nosferatus and Newts was almost impossible.
I like that.
That's what the stuff you get from planetary production, I feel like that's going to be something people really rush to sell on the market right away. And I always felt like, for me personally, I made a lot of ISK on selling any of my planetary material. And then, after that, obviously people start doing it more and more. But that's kind of one of those, it's a little bit scarce in terms of it takes a lot of time to gather a large quantity. So that might be something people kind of end up focusing on in the beginning.
You can make an absolute, what was it? How many accounts did we have, Sam? 4, 5? I had 4 or 5 myself, just doing PI, and I was selling that PI for absolute shit tons of ISK at the beginning, because I picked the exact. If you pick the PI of what you believe, I was lucky enough to pick the ventures for the PI. Your caracals are going to be absolutely massive at the launch of Echoes. If you collect all the PI that's needed to create caracals, you will make a shit ton. I've just probably destabilized the market by saying that, but you will. Like, it's...
Isn't it PP now instead of PI? It's planetary production.
I wish I could just get in. PP just sounds like I'm talking about my knob.
Intergalactic planetary production's fantastic.
PP's I don't know, that's too Reddit for me. I'm gonna go pull my PP out.
There was a lot of PI that was completely useless in the beta and alpha. Smart lab units and construction blocks, and we have to presume they will have a function as the game comes in. So,
we know what they're for, right?
Well, I assume they're building stations.
Sure, but the volume of requirement and how quickly players can build player stations, what they will require, that might stretch people's ability to specialize if they're not making 10 squillion accounts. So there might be some more niche markets for people to go into on planetary resources. Again, dependent, there's a cat tail there, Sam. It's very distracting. And it depends on which area of space they're in. How many corps and what they're building, and that might allow people to go in there. I mean, in Eve Echoes, we didn't have the NPC trading items, did we? Or did we?
The NPC trading. Oh, what? Like you're talking?
And even online, you've got wheat and some
and
other batteries and things like that.
Antibiotics.
They had no in-game purpose. They were just trading items.
It was in case like there was nothing for traders and haulers, like station to station traders didn't have anything to sell. They could sell for a small profit regularly normal NPC run items. I didn't see any, but I didn't look for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, right. And so in EVE Online, you made a great point, Sov, about ammo being a great entry level item for people to make and sell, get that seed to start their trade empire. If the devs haven't put in the NPC items, I think that would be something that would be very, very useful for new players to the game, because that's something they can get a handle on quite quickly and just begin to grow their stock.
I do remember.
So go on, Fish.
I was going to say, I do remember on the market, you know how you can do encounters and you have like refugees or food or water. I do remember at a certain point, people just started, instead of actually finishing the encounter, just selling that on the market. And I was wondering, is that something that you can actually make ISK on instead of fulfilling the encounter where you get these free items, these rebels or the, I specifically remember food, but they sold that, and it was not for huge high margins. But is there any kind of value in doing something like that, or is it just not even worth it?
It's absolutely worth it. If you can spend time to collect a commodity that will save someone else time, they will pay through the nose for it. If I think it was tags in EVE Online, they are massively valuable because they save people having to grind for standings because they can use tags to accelerate the process. That sort of effect is going to be of huge value in Echoes.
Sorry, Kyle Bagshaw said he's going to get into the refugee selling business.
That's like, I feel because the game doesn't have exotic dancers that it's missing something. Like, it's missing a certain, like, you can.
I just want my contraband slaves.
Yeah, like, you can have slaves, you can have, like, in EVE Online you can buy slaves and you can buy exotic dancers, cows, like, random, like, because every livestock in EVE Online is just cows. Everything else doesn't exist. You just have cows. There's no chickens. There's some random creature, alien thing on a planet somewhere. But there's, without those things, I sold a Miss Universe replica trophy in EVE Online doing my hauling series, like the station-to-station trading. I sold that for 500 million ISK profit. It doesn't even do anything. I found it in one station. This is using the API, because the API you can find what's selling high and low all over the place. And it was 30 million in Jita, and I bought it and sold it for 530 million in Amar. That's 9 jumps, and I made 500 on an alpha. What the hell?
Now, you raise a good point there with the API and the fact that you could use the API to get information to find out what was profitable, what was not. That, at this point, is not going to exist in Echoes, and that actually has an interesting effect on trading. It means you actually have the ability and probably very good profit margins to go from one region to another and just scan the market, the local regional market, and look to see where there are opportunities, because you can't just data mine the API, and that means that other people can't data mine the API. So you're going to have a huge opportunity by exploring the market and using brute force methods to just view opportunities, buy over here, sell over there, and get huge profits. And also scamming, the same thing. You're not going to be able to see where the scammers are. You're not going to be able to see where your scam is going to be viewed by other people. So your scamming ability might actually be easier to put into place.
Scamming? You mean people aren't all honest about the market? Tell us more. What does that mean to be scammed on the market? There's no way that's possible. How do you avoid getting scammed?
Sovereign can double your ISK if you just give him 200 million. Double it.
Here's the thing: you'll have your local chat scams, which you should always avoid. Anyone who knows my channel knows about that. But the thing that's gonna ruin scamming is auditing, because you won't be able to have contract scamming. You won't be able to have, like, putting up, say, everyone's selling a PP commodity for 1 million ISK, and then some dude's in there and he's got it out for 1 billion because someone goes, oh, 1 million, and clicks it, and then they just sold some. Scams like this are going to be, they can happen, but people are going to be waiting 30 days for the profit. Up to 30 days to the profit. I keep saying 30 days because I'm being doomsayer, but it can be 5 minutes in audit, or it can be 30 days. Anywhere up to 30 days. So if it's seen, I don't think they want to stop scamming completely, but scamming won't be as profitable, I think, as quickly as it is in EVE Online.
And I do think you can spot out people like this by seeing, flash sale, buy this.
Oh God.
It's like verbiage like that. It's just, you got to be a little bit suspicious, a little bit skeptical. Little skepticism doesn't hurt you when it comes to the market. My literal
thing on my YouTube channel, what would the word be? The moniker, they're like, avoid local chat scams. If anyone is trying to sell something in local chat, just don't buy it, ever. Like, never buy it. No one is trying to sell you something that's straight in local chat.
You see, that's disappointing.
It's just
I often advertise legitimate things in local chat.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
What does that mean?
Hey, local chat is viewed by a lot of people. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a legitimate thing advertised in local chat.
Yeah, but it's like you'll be the one
even
guy.
I'm not sure I trust you when you say
Yeah,
it
yeah,
that.
right. So one of my friends, like a couple of years ago, like he just started EVE Online, and he something came up, and he saw this guy in chat, and he was trying to sell a dead space item, because dead space items they can't be sold on the market itself, correct?
No, they can.
They can be. I can't. It was an item that can't be. It can be sold in contracts, but it can't be sold on the market itself. I can't remember what it is.
The only item like that is a blueprint copy.
Oh, there must be something. There must be something else. Or I'm just remembering it wrong. But he
The
bought
only
it.
the only items you can't sell on the market is anything that's damaged, has been modified, or as a copy.
Or a fitted ship. You can't sell on the market. You can only sell that in contracts.
Yeah.
So like he saw this thing, someone goes 1 billion for this amazing dead space item and blah blah blah, and then he went and checked, and it showed the same item for sale in a station 10 jumps away, or like a buy order it had for 10 jumps away for the same item for 1.8 billion. So he's like, oh shit, I found a deal. 1 billion, brought it in, went to go fly. The person who sold him the item had the buy order in the other station and just cancelled the buy order once he sold it for $1 billion. So he made $1 billion ISK, and just he lost some 0.1% tax, because he's obviously going to have the skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a typical scam, and a good one.
It is a good one, like amazing.
If someone does scam you, what you can do is not panic. You can write down their name and then hire a Merc Corp to just go after them, put a bounty on them.
That actually raises a different question as to whether we're going to be able to locate people just by knowing that what their name is. That's a question for a different time.
Yeah, no, but I just to quickly iterate on that, I actually went to the devs and asked them if it was a possibility to add a system like that where you actually paid Concord, which made Concord relevant, paid Concord for information on the location of criminals.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you paid them 20 million ISK, you'll get more information than if you paid them 500k ISK. You'll get like within a 10 system limit with 50 million ISK. Like they said it was something that could be possible, but I doubt it's going to come anytime soon. But I really like the idea of that in a bounty system, where you actually, instead of the API, you'd have an actual in-game system that allowed you to track down where people are.
Well, it's also going to the bounty system as well, enabling you to actually set someone as a criminal that isn't just someone who destroyed a ship in low sec or high sec. You know, you want to be able to actually say, hey, this guy scammed me. I'm putting 100 mil on his head. Someone go kill him.
Yeah, well, I don't think at the moment they definitely don't have a bounty system where you can just throw ISK on someone's head and blah blah blah, because they have a worry that will be abused, because there is an abused type thing in there.
Yeah.
Hi, just welcoming my brother. He's going to be a new Echoes player. He has not tried the game at all, but he's definitely curious after me being this EVE evangelist. The evangelist.
Fresh meat.
I go. Pause.
All I can hear is fresh meat in the background. This is whoa.
We have no robots going off. They have far out.
Your robot is you have a robot in the room that's talking about fresh meat. That's some iRobot shit right there. That's some end of the world stuff.
And we're gonna be saying something about the market, and then all of a sudden she's gonna be like, making purchase.
Just 1 second before we continue on, I'd just like to thank Apollo James for this 2 months subscribe. Thank you. Driftax for the tier 2 sub, 2 months. Thank you. And Black Dragon for the 1 month at tier 1. Thank you. Also, just to answer your question, Apollo, the EO streamers that are coming to EE, I know that Ashtaroth is going to try it out. I know that Marky Dragon's going to try it out. I know that
Sword is going to try it. I know this because I saw him in EVE Vegas after he roasted me on open comms, making for a mobile game. And then when I saw him in person and he was shocked to actually see that a mobile gamer made it to EVE Vegas, he was like, okay, I have a secret confession. I'm a leader in a mobile game. And I asked, "Are you going to be playing Echoes?" He's like, "Oh hell yes." He's like, a lot of EVE Online players are going to be playing, like whether they want to openly admit it or not. I mean, I know Elo Knight joined OBS, and I'm working on getting Headliner to join OBS. Elo Knight is a really big FC in EVE Online world. And it'll be we had Yintan, he was in our team during the beta test. So, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot more players than we realize.
There will be a lot of well-known people. Actually, speaking of like Yintan, I never pronounce his name right. He talked about coming over in a video recently, but a lot of the major content creators for EO will stay with EO because that's where their player base is, and a lot of the player base that they have. So, like Jintan, for example, a lot of people questioned. They said they weren't very happy that he was talking about EVE Echoes, right? In the comments I saw in the video.
He did an interview with me on EVE Echoes. I mean, I spoke to Yintan and Caleb a while back about the game, or about EVE Echoes, why I'm so excited, and they were shocked to learn that mobile gamers are so dedicated. And I think the difference, though, is the other mobile games I played were great, but what I'm excited in EVE is there's such a bigger picture here. I mean, in terms of this whole market, like, I mean, that's amazing. You can scam people on the market. You can put a bounty on someone's head who scammed you. You can trade like items. You can kill someone who has spent $1,000 on a ship in the game and then sell all of their stuff on the market. I mean, what other games are like that? I mean, I don't really know many other games like that. That's what's so incredible about EVE.
It is true. I just want to thank Hugasa for the 1 month tier 1. Thank you very much. And I'm also wondering how you accidentally poured Mango Monster into a Guinness. That is accident.
Talking about crimes,
that is a high crime right there. That's the sort of shit you get beheaded for in England. You do not pour Monster into a Guinness. I'm sure that's one of the 2 rules that are left. If you kill a swan, you get beheaded. If you pour a monster into a Guinness, you get beheaded.
Now, Dustin, as someone who doesn't know anything about EVE or EVE Echoes, do you have any questions about the market?
About the market?
Yeah. Like, as a kind of gamer, I mean, do you have any questions on what to expect?
I have no idea what to expect, to be honest.
It's quite a big scope. What they want to create is a big scope, and they really have, in my opinion, tried and passed on a lot of things. There are some things that I'm pissed off about, and I am actually writing a video right now it's an angry video. It's not going to be the sort of happy, yay, NetEase is the best, EVE Echo is going to be the best game ever, like my normal videos. This one is actually everything that's pissed me off since December, and it's going to be coming on the 1st when the NDA lifts. So we'll be seeing that one very soon. Anger, me being angry.
I find something I'm going to be looking out for is the fire sales. There's a lot of money to be made in people's unwillingness to spend the time and effort to getting the best value for something. Nullsec Alliance goes to the ground, doesn't do as well as someone expects, or they just want to leave, and they don't want to have to take all their stuff out to HiSec to sell. So what are they going to do? They're going to throw everything they've got into one contract, mark it as fire sale, and put on a nominal value just to get as much as they can, but so that it actually sells quite quickly. And this happens all the time for minerals, for items, ships, everything. And often they won't differentiate anything. They'll just throw everything into one big ass contract and put on like $1 billion or $5 billion for the value. And this is where the EVE Online API system comes in. You can copy that contract out of the game, paste it into a service online, and find out the true value of that contract in a few seconds. You can't do that in EVE Echoes, so it means that people aren't going to be able to snatch up the really valuable ones because they're not yet going to know what they're going to be like. So that's actually going to be a huge advantage to people who are speculating the market by looking at these contracts and actually trying to discern some value and gain profit. And I think the profit margins on these things are going to be insane. I think people are going to pick up some real eggs, some real golden eggs from fire sales in random places in nullsec. So long as, this is what I'm hating about EVE Echo, so long as they don't have the stupid estimated value system that dictates how much they think everything should be worth. And
I
then
like the estimated value system. That gives you
Yeah.
opportunity to scam people.
Yeah, they have the way that they still have it. That's still in there, and it will help to guide people at the beginning. But the estimated value should go with the average estimated value of the market. If it stays at that standard level that they have in there, where they've just decided to write some random shit in there, it's not good. If it's like EVE Online, where you go into your cargo hold and you can see what you've picked up, and the estimated value is actually the estimated market value in EVE Online, I don't think they have that in Echoes. I don't think that will be in Echoes, which would be annoying.
Adventure 1 at the beginning of beta had an estimated value of 541,000 ISK.
I started for 15 million.
At the end of beta, the Venture 1 had an estimated value of 541,000 ISK. It never changed.
Then
The actual sales of Ventures went from 10 million to 5 million to 300,000. It went all over the place.
To like 20K. That's
So-
like when I finally built a venture and was ready to sell. It went from like 10 mil to like 20K.
So how is the estimated value figured out, and how do you decide what the estimated value is on an item that has a percentage drop from loot bags, or sorry, from a wreck?
Loot bags.
It's really hard to figure out what is an estimated value, and that's something that I've been trying to do in my spreadsheets in EVE Online for a very long time, is work out a realistic estimated value for items, because I like to try and find the profit margins. So hearing that EVE Echoes are just making an estimated value and it's static really makes me worried about how the market is going to be held together, because people latch on to these numbers.
Yes, they do.
When you look at someone who says, right, I'm latching onto a number of a Venture 1 versus for 500,000, then you either take it forward or backwards. You say, oh, okay, so if the Venture is worth that much, now I'm going to look at the materials that make up that thing and see if I can work out the cost of those materials that make up the value of 500,000 for that ship. And people try to take their calculations all over the place with these things, but with the estimated values, it really sets some stuff in concrete, which can get really bad for, well, auditing, if nothing else.
Yes. Because, like, are they going to go off of the number that they've put in the system as the average, as the estimated value? Is the audit going to go off of the estimated value, or is the audit going to go off of the average value of the market? If it goes off of the 541k ISK and people are trying to sell Ventures week 1 for 15 million ISK, everyone's going to get audited if it in fact goes by the estimated value, which will be really, really bad. And I really hope this team of economics professionals from CCP and NetEase that we know are working on this together didn't overlook that shit, because that's a major fuck up if they've done it that way. That's going to fuck everything. That's going to fuck everyone.
If they do want to fix that, though, I'm not a coder, that shouldn't be beyond the wit of man.
No.
And I do think that's an important thing for new players to understand is look at the estimated value with a grain of salt, but do your due diligence, research your own prices. Don't just look at this estimated value and throw your shit up on the market and say, oh, the Motley compound is estimated 140 per, you need to actually do your due diligence and look at what things are selling for. You can't just, kind of not necessarily wing it, but you can't just, I don't know, you can't just kind of, I lost the word.
Yeah.
You can't take it for granted. And it's a good point, just not for new players there, but also, we're talking about API and we're talking about advantage in the market. And Echoes is really going to reward people who are willing to put in that legwork early. You're not going to get gazumped by someone who's just a bit cleverer with spreadsheets and drawing data off the internet. It's actually going to reward people who put in the legwork more or have a network going on. It actually might promote groups of people who aren't necessarily corp related, but just hang out and saying, okay, let's gather this information on this select group of items. Let's make sure we always know what they cost. And if we always know what they cost, we can absolutely maximize the trading on that.
I was going to there's a point that so let me just explain what the auditing system does. So the auditing system for an alpha player. So if, for example, we'll use the venture, the 541,000 ISK. If they do it from the estimated value. So if you're an alpha player and, for instance, you put a venture up for sale and you put it up for 641,000 ISK, it will be audited. There is 100k up, 100,000 ISK up, or 100,000 ISK down from their number, and that you have to keep it within those boundaries for it not to be audited. Now, for an Omega player, you have 10 million ISK either way to play with. So an Omega player could, in theory, move that 541,000 ISK to 10,500,000 ISK and not be audited. That is the current way that I understand it, and the way that the Exile has explained it to us to be able to explain to you, because it is quite a complicated. It's quite a complicated thing to explain. It's almost like when I tried to explain the Omega differences, like they're making it very complicated. I don't know why it's so complicated.
Okay, so assume you get audited. What
Yes.
does that mean?
When you get audited, you have it will pop up. You've made the sale. Don't worry about not making a sale. That ISK is being held in another bank account. It's like when you do say, I don't know how banks work around the world, but in Spain, for instance, if I do a 600 euro spend on my card, it would hold it to make sure that I'm being, like, if there's me using the card, it's audited in a different way. But that's basically the gist of what's going to happen. They'll hold the money, they'll check it. The AI will check it to see, okay, look, this looks a bit shitty. Let's put it into some human hands. The human will then check the actual sale, and they'll be like, okay, this is normal. Someone just got screwed. There's no previous sales of the same kind to the same characters. They're looking for RMT. If you're in there and you're selling a 15 million ISK venture, and someone's bought a 15 million ISK venture, and you've only sold one of them, or you sold 50, but 50 of them to different players, not all alphas and blah blah blah, then you'll get that audit through quickly. So that money will come to you. If you get audited for 30 days and then you have to have an argument with them, say, look, taking the piss, that money will still come to you, but just 30 days late.
Which could be saying...
Team profession sounds like a lot of planning ahead of time and patience.
Yes.
Because you can't throw things up willy-nilly and expect them to sell. You actually have to have a plan. You have to have a strategy on what kind of things are moving quickly, and can I get those, and can I put them up, and what is going to be the average cycle of how fast they kind of go. I was curious if we know how many items we'll be able to sell on the market at a given time.
At the start, from the beta, we had five buy and sell orders from the start in the beta. That is still continuing on. That's not going to be changed anytime soon. I don't know the specifics. Maybe Sam will be able to give you the specifics on training the trading skill, which gives you more and more. So like what usually in EVE Online, for example, the first skill that you put in there will give you 3+ orders per skill point. Then you'll have the second one, which will give you 10+ orders. And then you can have like 250 max orders, is it, in EVE Online?
It's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of them in there. I just want to thank Keltan for the community sub. Thank you. Thank you for the follow. I'm not a goth. So what are you? I'm not a goth if you're not a goth. Thank you for the follow, Keltan, and thank you for the follow, Demon.
As of beta, the trade skill gave you 1 market order per level. So like you got trade 1 to 5. To get trade 5, you'll then have 5 more market orders. It's minuscule. Compare that with the Tycoon skill with EVE Online, and you're talking hundreds of orders that you can put up. So your ability to basically become a trade hub manager in an ITC is not going to be 1 account, it's going to be 20. And they're all going to want to be Omega, because otherwise you get audited to hell. So I want to say that they're going to expand it, because people's ability to seed a market effectively is going to be very reliant on this. And I don't say this from the feasibility point. Like, when you're looking at selling something and you've got 50 items in your hold and you've got 5 slots, what items are you going to sell? You're going to sell the ones that move the fastest.
Yes,
You know,
which are not always necessarily the most expensive.
No, but you're going to sell the ones that move the fastest and the ones that have the highest return on sale. You are not going to sell that obscure, annoying blueprint that's in the back of your hold, which you really want to get rid of, but you really don't think it's going to sell, and it's going to sit on the market for months. Now, in EVE Online, someone can put everything on sale very easily. So you can actually have a market that is so diverse in something like in nullsec, because someone is selling everything. You know, there's a little bit of everything on the market because they're not limited by how many slots they've got. So they can afford to have something sitting on the market on sale for 3 months. They don't care.
Yes.
But this isn't going to happen in Echoes. It's going to be every single individual trader is going to sell the few things they think they're going to work with, and everything is going to be sold 10 times over repeated, because that's what they're trying to sell and that's what they've got.
Yes.
But do you think you should place all your eggs in one basket?
Well, okay, here's an example. We did a lot of not incursion, what are they called? Inquisitor running in Garista space. And I had probably 1,000 blueprints by the end of beta of different qualities, quantities, and varieties. I didn't sell any of them because I couldn't afford the slots to go and move away from selling ships to actually start selling blueprints. I didn't have the slot numbers. I definitely wanted to sell them. I definitely wanted to make them available for other people to have, but I couldn't afford the slots. Now, this will change in contracts because I can put up massive contracts for a huge number of blueprints for anyone who wants to buy them all. But realistically, the inner greed in me says, no, you want to sell everyone individually for the maximum profit. But it's like, well, yeah, cool, but I don't have the ability to. And I'm not going to online a whole heap of Omega accounts just so I can get another 10, 15, 20 slots.
Yes, that does seem
Now,
like it wouldn't be very good.
I think that's something as a new player I'm not as familiar with, in terms of the difference between just simple like trading on the market versus contracts. Can you kind of dive deeper a little bit into that, what that means?
Trading on the market is very clean. Everything that you sell is exactly like, you look at a Mark 1 civilian gun versus another Mark 1 civilian gun on the market. They are exactly the same. There is zero question, they're absolutely the same. Contracts allow variability. You can actually have an item that is half damaged. You can have a ship that has various items included in it. You can have things that are affected by skins. You can have basically items that are modified in some respect. For the most part, you can reduce all of those items back to their basic values and then put them on the market from a contract. You've also got blueprint copies. Now, I don't remember actually having. I think blueprints were still an item that was an exact replica. So it's going to be interesting to see where EVE Echoes goes with the trade with the contracts. But the core idea between the difference between a trade item, a trade transaction and a contract transaction is the envelope. You can take a trade. A trade is one thing, one item. A contract can be a collection or a group or a bundle of stuff. That's right. And this was taken into extreme effect in EVE Online when you had bundles of blueprints. You would have a collection of blueprints that people had collected or created for, let's say, a carrier or a capital ship. And the point is, they're taking the time to measure out exactly how many blueprints you would need for the ship and the blueprint for the ship itself. And then they would then put that all together and sell it for a value that was actually more than if you were to purchase all of that stuff separately. But because they're taking the time to package it properly, it was actually worth more. And that's a point of legwork versus taking the legwork to make the money, seeing to people's laziness. So contracts allow you a lot of versatility. This is going to be seen particularly with doctrine ships. You're going to be able to set up a contract for a ship, an exact fit, the ammo inside the ship, and everything that you could possibly need, to the point where you go click accept contract, click launch ship. Basically, I'm out in space, I'm flying, I'm shooting. And that whole process, if everything is all in one place, will take like 5 seconds. And that's kind of the point with doctrine contracting.
So just a quick point that Broman has made. Thank you for the point you just made. So he wants to know about the big elephant in the room. Now we know that the Chinese players will be playing with us at the beginning, at least. This is right. So we have the latest number we have for the global registrations is 1.2 million people. Now that's including alt accounts for whoever has done alt accounts. Now, if you look at the Chinese website, which we have a definitive over 4 million player registrations on the website, that's going to be a hell of a lot more Chinese players. And they're not even just the fact that they're Chinese makes no difference. The main thing that matters is there'll be 5 million players, give or take 5 million accounts playing from launch. They're registered. That's going to fill the market up to the brim from day one.
Not necessarily all of those accounts registered on the Chinese side will arguably be on the global server, though, will they, Sol? Because not every single
no, they won't. But I'm looking at like the market doomsday version of like when a game launches and every one of those accounts that are pre-registered are. Can you imagine if 5 million people try to log into ECHOESTALK on day one?
I'm waiting for it.
Even if we take a conservative estimate of 10% of Chinese accounts, then we're talking about 400,000 on top of the 1.2 million that are already on global. 1.6.
Let's
go 10%.
Yep.
Like 1.6 million accounts.
1.6 million accounts at the beginning is going to be... So look at EVE Online. You have a daily login of 30k players minimum and 50k on a good Friday night when no one's going out to get pissed. But it's like...
300 total kind of registered at any one time?
Yeah, at the moment it's around 320,000 active subscriptions, but that's active subscriptions and not active players. A lot of those are alts in EVE Online, but even in EVE Echoes they'll have the same amount of alts, and it's a lot harder to run alts in an emulator / phone bank than it will be to run EVE Online on a computer. But it's
rough numbers, 500%.
Look at the beta. We had just under 700,000 players in the beta. Just under 670 something thousand accounts active in the beta.
And
when
I think
no one even knew it existed.
And I think too we need to consider in terms of it's. I mean, I personally have reached. I know quite a few other Chinese teams. Like that's where you just start making allies. You start making friends. Like to me, it's not necessarily going to be a concern of who is Chinese or who is not. It's going to be what teams have values that align with my team's values, and how can we work together? What kind of mutual goal can we work towards? Together. So finding some kind of common goal that you can work with, I think that helps. I don't know. I don't necessarily see that being a problem. You can just kind of make alliances, make allies. That's kind of the nature of the game.
We're not even really talking about the diplomatic nature of that, are we, Fish? We're talking about the sheer volume
of items. Yeah.
500% players.
Well, what is going to happen? Why would it matter if there were 5 times, 10 times more than expected players on the market than we had in beta?
Because it would drop the amount.
Balance of representation in regions.
Yes.
That's where it would have a huge effect.
So, for instance,
a bit more?
If ITCs are going to obviously be there, if those players are not evenly distributed, and the demand is going to be surging in certain areas. So this isn't a problem as much as it is an opportunity in terms of the market. So let's say you have 10% of the player base in a particular region or collection of regions, then the demand for all of the things that will make corporations great again is going to be really huge in that area. So that then would be not only a pull on resources out of, say, HiSec, but also the logistics requirements to go there, giving opportunity to PvP players. But it could form what the market does and what the market looks like at the very beginning of the game in the first couple of months.
Because if, say for instance, if the way that it was in beta, you have missiles being king and you have Garistas being the easiest rats to kill, you're going to have, for instance, if even 40% of the player base jumped into Garista space, you're not going to make any money on the market. It's going to be saturated with missile launchers and rigs for, like the price of rigs will go down for that thing. So if you're looking to make money from ratting, loot, Garistas wouldn't be the way to go. And honestly, in my opinion, Garistas is not the way to go on launch. If you want to make money, go other directions. I'm not going to give away my one this time like I normally do because I actually want to make some money at the beginning.
But the other thing is, generally when it comes to making money off the market, you're making money off other players' effort. And if there's more players available, then there's just more money to be had going around in general. If you're ratting and you're selling loot, then there's more players to pick up the purchases from that loot, and more ability for you to shift items quickly. So
Yes.
I don't necessarily see more players as a bad thing. I more look at more players as will NetEase be able to handle the number of players, and will they be willing to accept the limitations per system to allow these trades to occur efficiently? And I don't think we're going to see good results from that, but that's just my personal opinion.
I have concerns about auditing and the volatility of the market to begin with.
Yes. How will the auditing AI do when there's 500 bazillion things to audit? Do they have this super biological computer brain that's going to be going through all of these audits? Like, there's a lot of shit to audit.
Also, with the auditing, if you're going to be trading and you're probably actually going to avoid trading large objects early. So like if you had, let's say, 20 million ISK was your net worth, and you were to make a single trade that was 10 million ISK, you probably wouldn't want to make that trade to the risk of it being audited, because your 10 million, that's half of your net worth, will be locked up for potentially 30 days. It's stifling your ability to, make money going forward, because a core of the trade system in EVE Online is it takes money to make money. The more money you have, the faster and easier
your money make. Yeah. Especially with so go on.
Oh no, you go ahead.
So I'm just going to say, because there's some creative, unusual ways to make money, excluding the normal ways, selling items and hauling. I've heard ganking insurance, but ganking insurance, we don't know if that's going to be able to work in Echoes, because we don't know at all what the insurance is going to look like. And the insurance will only be paid out, that I know of, that the devs told everyone about in previous AMAs, PvE, and only for newer players in HiSec. So if you get killed by a rat in 0.7 or whatever, then you'll get insurance. No PvP insurance, from what they told me. But this was 5 months ago. That may have changed.
I was going to point out, just from a comment that Marco made and then Nam highlighted, it would be interesting to understand if we do have Chinese players move from this international server to a Chinese-only server, and see how that does affect the market. As it would be unusual to have millions of players just contributing contributing to the market, and then for them just to kind of disappear. I mean, that would be massive shifts.
That's only if they do disappear, and from what I do understand, I believe we spoke a little bit about it, so I'll just go over the main points. I'm pretty sure they're going to copy paste the server, so the Chinese players will most likely go to the Chinese server, because they will be dealing with ping from the global servers, which in PvP, trust me, at this moment in time, playing in the localization, no spoilers, the ping of me playing on a Chinese server is absolutely insane. Like, insane. So they're going to have to deal with that on a PvP level, which will be very difficult for them to do. So they will have incentives to move to a new server, so we will have to worry about that, and that is a big worry, losing a massive part of the marketing structure player base.
Well, like Eisenhorn said, it was kind of an opportunity. I mean, it'll be interesting. And in terms of the market and trade, sounds like this is a lot like stock trading, where you have to understand what's going on in the market. You can't just, again, put things up willy-nilly and hope that they're going to make money. You have to plan, and you have to see opportunities and take a risk. And with big risk can sometimes yield big reward. So
Yes.
a lot of players potentially migrate. That might mean a lot of reward or opportunity to sell and make some fast ISK.
Unless they just up and leave, just leave the market like that.
I mean, we've touched on the terms without naming them, but for newer players, in stock market trading, there's bulls and bears, right?
Yeah.
So bears are people who are looking to buy low and sell at a normal price, and bulls are people who are buying a decent price, looking for the future profit, the future opportunity. And so in terms of the opportunities for making money, there's going to be some off-the-wall ideas and opportunities that come out of it. And then there's just going to be how you approach making money. Are you looking for, as Sandberg was saying, like, are you looking for those contract opportunities that actually, when you look into it, are a fantastic deal because it's a fire sale? Or are you looking to corner the market on something, EVP the market to buy everything out, or attempt to buy everything out that's significant in an area, increase the price to then make more per item?
Yes. But what Fish was making, as Nom just said, there's a big opportunity in the big change. There'll be a lot of static sold items on the market, so there'll be a lot of sell orders that would just get left there as static, and it could go up, or you could, as a trader, jump in when you find out that the Chinese market's going to go. They may just not care about putting it at the correct level or pricing that is going to be on the server, so you can jump on that, buy low, sell high.
And that's an opportunity.
Yes, it depends what the copy's taken.
Yes.
There might be a lot of loot pinatas around, though.
Oh, mate, that is something I really want to talk about, but I can't go into that because that's not today's topic. Loot pinatas, just for everyone to understand, in EVE Online, there is only one place where you can blow up someone's structure and all of the shit that's inside it empties out into space for you to collect and make nom-noms of, and all of it. And that's in wormholes. But in EVE Echoes, there is no asset safety. All stations will be a giant llama getting beaten with a stick and sweeties falling out of it. And it's gonna be beautiful.
Eisenhorn, they just got gifts.
Resource pinatas.
It's gonna be absolutely beautiful. When you blow up a station in EVE Echoes, you're gonna have to bring your hauling company of the corp, because there's gonna be some shit to pick up, boys and girls. Shit to pick up.
Yep.
I'm so excited for that. I love that shit. That's why I'm a wormholer. Thank you, Imka Wolf, for the subscribe Prime. Thank you. It's like.
Wait, I thought you were going to Sav.
Huh?
I said I thought you were going to be an ISEC, and now you're a wormholer?
High-sec? No, in EVE Online, I'm a wormholer. In EVE Echoes, I'm going to be in low-sec.
Oh, okay.
NPC stations won't be destroyable, I believe, just the same as EVE Online.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
NPC stations are going to be safety nets, and there'll be a lot of people just sticking stuff in there, which is fine. But in nullsec, there'll be few and far between NPC space. Like there's a few stations within a certain regions and blah blah blah. So there'll be a lot of stuff that you can tap.
Now, in accordance with trade, how does ITCs, when you're putting an ITC in a system or in a region such as LOSEC, can you have more than one ITC in a region?
I don't think you can have ITCs attached to like the corp stations in LowSec. I don't know that. I do know in nullsec you can, because there isn't going to be any NPC ITCs. So it could be different, but I do believe that you can have more than one ITC in a region. I haven't confirmed that 100% yet.
Okay, because my question associated with that was if you could have an ITC in LowSec, could you supersede the existing ITC from an NPC station by building one in a player station somewhere, and effectively take control of the trade hub in that region? I guess we'll have to find out later on.
That'll be something, yeah, because I don't know anything about that quite yet. I've asked questions, but the questions that I've asked, because they're on holiday at the moment, so like, what an amazing time. What an amazing time for the entire dev team to go on holiday for like just before the final test, and I have all these questions, and I'm like, here's this problem, we need to sort this out, and we need to do this and that, and there's no one answering. I'm like, we've got a few days left. This is a bit mental. Yeah. So for Mad Bohemian, an ITC is just a trade hub, so you can buy and sell from this trade hub, and you can ship items into it and away from it into other regions and other stations.
Interregional trade.
Yes, and it's just sort of like a load of Jeters. Just imagine a Jeter in every region that you can trade between them. That's basically what it's to make trading easier.
The main thing about the ITC is that if you were like when you're in an ITC, you can look at the trades or the available trades across the entire region, the entire galaxy of ITCs. If you were to pick one that is not in your region, you have to choose a station to deliver it to, and that will generate an automatic courier contract from the station which you purchased it to the destination you wanted it delivered to. Yes. And that is a player completed contract.
Except in the beta, there was some instant shit going on at the end that I have no idea what that was about. But like, I would buy stuff in the ITC from one place and have it instantly transported by air to another ITC. It's like,
I think you just broke it.
I probably did. I broke a lot of stuff, including my brain, especially recently. But yeah, no, there was a lot of things. Don't take what was in the beta as what will be in the final end game. A lot of stuff has changed. I can't go into details, but some of you will really love the changes and some of you won't. It's going to be like a Marmite, Vegemite situation. But the NDA is pissing me off, but we've only got 4 days left of the NDA, so in 4 days I'm going to be spilling everything all over the place. I've got like 40 videos just lined up ready to go out, and as soon as the final test starts is when the NDA lifts. So and they have told us that it will start on July 1st at the moment. So see what happens when they come back.
Even what you just said, Sav, I think just for people to remember, we're kind of pioneers of this game. We're testing new features, we're testing things, and it's so important to remember that in terms of comparison with mobile gaming development companies, the team that is working on Eve Echoes, specifically with NetEase, they are super responsive, super super understanding. They really listen and they're really engaged with their community, and that's not similar to other communities. So just remember, we're pioneers. When we want something or if we would like something, we need to come up with a reasonable request and then submit it to them, and they will listen. Like, that's the beauty of this type of game, is that if there's something that we can do to enhance this gameplay, we just have to present it to them. So
yes, and they do change stuff contrary to certain doomsaying opinions that we have in the Eve Echoes Discord, not mentioning names, Savage, the little bastard. But like, contrary to his opinion, they are changing a lot of things. Like, a lot of things based on our suggestions, and they even like come in, like, we have conversations. Fish can tell you the same thing. Like, they come to us and they say, this suggestion, how does this suggestion feel to you? And we give our opinion, and then next thing you know, they're adding it to the game, or they're taking it away from the game, depending on what the suggestion is. They are really listening to us.
And constructive feedback being listened to by developers is worth its weight in gold as well, because like Fish said, you don't always see that in games, and it's wonderful to have that in a development team.
Yeah.
Yes, and I do need to speak up for Savage, as trolly as he can be. He is excited for Echoes, whether he wants to admit it or not. This 100%. Is a guy who's so he's saying that he doesn't want to play, but he is in the Discord chat every day. He's talking about Echoes every day. He's a fan, bro. He is a fan. He's excited to play, whether he wants to admit it. You know, that's fine. Market scams. I mean, he's kind of scamming the Discord with some of his trolling us. But, you know, you just have to rise over, you know, someone who's trollier than thou. So
It's
that's,
true.
I don't know. Just wanted to point it out.
He's not a bad guy per se. He just depresses the shit out of me, personally. Like, he sees the realism in everything, and sometimes when I'm playing games, I just want to live the fantasy. I don't want real life and realism to come into my game life. It's just, I just don't want it. I want roses. I want sunshine and rainbows.
And I'm all about that positivity. Pointing out positivity, Marco Polo did give us a shout out to all the mods and content creators of the community. Just reminding people, moderators are volunteers. We're not getting paid to moderate that Eve Echoes Discord, so just give us a break once in a while. No.
You're not getting paid?
Not for moderating the Eve Echoes Discord.
I'm joking, guys. I'm joking. I do not get paid for nothing. I get abused for no money. No money. Someone is literally gonna snip that and put that in and send it into the devs as a complaint now. Watch, I put money on it. We'll have it on Monday morning.
That's the world of a mod.
Yes, it is. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun doing the whole moderating thing, and you can be part of everything that's going along during the whole development, and it's worth it 99% of the time.
Yes, and I do think also content creation is rich. I would love to put a challenge on anyone when Eve Echo starts to do stories on the best scam they've ever done on the market, or scam like personal scam they've ever experienced personally. Because I remember I was scammed once, and then never again. After that, I was just like, I am not falling for these trickery anymore. So it'd be kind of fun to see some content creation in terms of hearing the stories of people who have fallen victim or have been the scammer.
Well, the first time I sold whacker stuff for 1isk in EVE Online, I felt physically sick. I only make that mistake once.
I forgot a few zeros in a very expensive item once before, and someone it got insta bought up. No, but like I'm talking like Titan levels of missing a few zeros. It wasn't even mine. I was putting it up for the corp. I don't do Titans. They're too expensive and they're boring as shit. I don't do Titans, but like it was being put up for the corp for sale, and yeah, I missed a few zeros.
Shout out to proofreading volunteers. Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, what?
Proofreading volunteers. I said Nicoado did a shout out to all proofreading volunteers.
Yeah, 100%. Nicoado, he's part of the proofreading volunteers, and they are working diligently to make sure any of you guys who have Spanish, Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, I might add, not Portuguese, French, German, and English, which us lovely moderators are working on, and I'm really shit at English. If you've seen me talking in the Discord, you know I can't write English for nothing. But I have to do something, otherwise nothing. What made your ass clench? What the hell was that about? Oh, the few zeros missing. Sorry, apologies.
Oh, I thought it was the improper grammar.
No, my grammar is terrible. I miss entire words out in sentences, man.
Get the proofreading volunteers, because my grammar is shit.
No, like I literally miss out entire words in sentences, and I don't know how, because in my head I've typed them, but they're not there. So I don't know, like, I don't know what's happening. Grammarly is very good, but no, advertising, Grammarly is very good. I use Grammarly on my, the Google, it now works for Google Docs, and I do a lot of that with my scripting stuff. It's really good. I love to snipe player-to-player sales. I don't know if that's going to work it worked in the beta. Like we did do some good stuff. We managed to get a few like put a few buy orders up that screwed a lot of people over, and people were selling because a lot of people at the beginning, if you want to scam someone at the beginning of Eve Echoes, just put up a buy order, and a lot of people would just click sell without even checking how much money they've put in it. They just sell everything. And sometimes you might pick something up. It's a good thing to do, especially with the stuff that's being sold a lot early in the beginning.
Now, I do remember one scam I had was when someone was doing flash sale, just fire sale, sell, and it would be sell for this item, sell for this item, sell for this item. And as soon as it was like my turn to buy, that's when I got the scam on the item, if that makes any sense.
That's intentional. That's how the scam works. Yeah.
Yes, bastards. Actually, that's the one time I got scammed. I got scammed on a BPO. So they showed a BPO contract with all of these things, and there'll be like 5 of the 8 of the same BPO would be 10-10. And there was like 300. But like, it was a scam and it was great. I luckily made more a couple of years later from selling the BPOs that were there. But at the time, I was scammed out of about 8 billion ISK just on BPOs, because there'll be like the 10-10s and then there'll be the 0-0s. Like 3 of them just fresh off the 50k ISK, and I just spent 400 million on them or something like that. But I got scammed. But I made money in the end. Yeah, not researched any of the BPOs.
Any non-scam contract or trade, you will have time to look at and observe and background check if it's legitimate. If they're trying to scam you, they're aiming for you trying to hit go in lieu of competition before you won't get the trade because someone else will get it. And so they're trying to get you to do it without even looking at it properly.
It's the hard sell insurance mechanic, right? It's the like if it's too good to be true and there's being pressure applied to buy it, then maybe you probably want to walk away from that.
There is actually we should actually talk. We should do an ECHOESTALK. Maybe next ECHOESTALK we'll do on scamming, because there's so many different kinds, and it's actually really interesting on what we could actually work into Echoes at launch. Like I'm sure a lot of us we've seen every single one. Even in EVE Online right now, there is literally a scam mechanic built into the game. Does anyone know? Can anyone name what they've added? What they made allowable that they banned so many times? The hypernet. The hypernet is a mechanic they actually built into EVE Online now that was banned because people were using real money to pay for things on the hypernet. So like this hypernet thing, you'd put in a certain amount of money to buy tickets. It's like a lottery. But in the game now, you have this, people will sell an item like a large skill injector. This large skill injector will be split into 50 tickets. So like each ticket will be sold for 50 million ISK. You could buy a row of tickets. You can buy all the tickets if you want to. But you'll actually, the person who's selling the skill injector is making 600 million more ISK doing it in this hypernet way, selling the tickets. But the person who's winning is actually saving 750 million ISK because they only bought one ticket for 50 mil. Like it's a massive scam, but it's now legalized. But why it was banned? It was banned before because people were buying real money tickets on Reddit for it. So like people were selling real tickets.
System. And it's a pretty standard system. And it's scamming is really not what I'd call it, because you go in knowing that you may or may not win based on your chances on the offer. Yeah.
Yes.
So you put eBay, your in with your expectation that you may or may not succeed on getting the item, and if you want more assurance, then you spend more money to get more chances.
The scam on it is, though, the scams that are in it are the Dead Space items. They could sell so with Dead Space loot, they have different stats depending on what you create, basically. So like is it the Dead Space or is it it's the Triglavian stuff is Dead Space, right?
No.
What's the red gear? What's it called? Someone must remember. I don't know why I keep thinking of Dead Space. There's the red plus gear. Basically, it changes. The stats change on this gear depending on what one you pick up. So they could all be different. Some modules will be worth a hell of a lot more than the same module who has shitter stats. So they're putting the shitter stat. Yeah, the same name, but they have different stats up and down. Abyssal gear. Thank you, Nina. So the abyssal gear, and they put the shit ones up on the hypernet, and people think, oh, it's going to be the same as the highest selling one of the same item. So they're selling these for 10 billion when it's worth 50,000. That's the scam. That's where the scams come in.
Can you view the item to know its stats?
Yes.
Then it's not a scam.
But it's the same as a fire sale. Fire sale's a scam. You can still view everything in there.
Yeah.
So you're just not going to check each individual value of everything. So, I mean, yeah. But to a newer player, they'll be like, oh, I've seen that Abyssal Gear's worth loads of money. I'll grab that. That's cheap. And it's not.
It's taking advantage of ignorance rather than hard scam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do like that. They should add that into... they should add the Abyssal Gear system. It doesn't have to be Abyssal because Triglavians aren't currently in there, but I like that RNG side of stats. I like it.
Yeah, but like I like the fact that to make a ship only has like 7 to 10 materials total. I like the fact that on the market there's only like 200 or 300 items total, and every single item has the exact same stats. We don't have to fuss about all of the different modifiers that could potentially be added to all of these items. It's at the moment, Eve Echoes is nice and simple, coming from an EVE Online perspective.
Okay, I can see your point, and I do agree with you. But I really want the item that allows you to teleport your fleet to the middle of Nullsec in the middle of nowhere and just jump in and be like, "Hey, hello guys," and fight. They throw you into an active system. So you press this button, and then your entire fleet gets ported into a system, and it adds a nice little mechanic to the game. I'd love that. It's like kind of. It's like a personal signer that just jumps your fleet randomly into a space that has a lot of people. Filaments.
I'm fine with them adding the complexity of EVE Online into EVE Echoes, but with that complexity, they must give us the ability to manage the systems as well. We must get APIs, we must get third-party interaction with the game so that we can manage the complexity, just the same as you would in EVE Online.
Yes. But the thing is, if it has the complexity of EVE Online, we need to have an API because that's too damn much.
Yeah,
that's too much.
I want us to be able to have access to that. I think that would be very, very enriching for the entire community.
There's two sides of an API. The API that allows you to be able to check where things are being sold the cheapest, for example, the API that shows information on things may be okay for me. I'd rather not have APIs because I don't want ESI checks on corps, because I don't believe if you want to play as a spy on an account, you should be able to play as a spy on that account, and no one should be able to use metagaming to find information about you that no one will know outside of the game. That I don't like about it.
But you're not getting information that you can know out of the game. It's the collation of information. You can technically find all information from the APIs in the game. It's just being able to manipulate and cross-reference without being some mindless automaton sitting there all day trying to reference it.
But here's the issue, because you cannot check my messages. You can't check my mail. You can't check my wallet. You can't check my corp wallet. You can't check any of that stuff. But with an ESI check, you can literally they know what you fed your nan last week. Like, they know everything. And with an API in EVE Online, they can even send mail on your behalf. They can use your account. They can kick players out of your fleet while you're playing with these things. It's insane what they can do. I'd rather not have an API. I'd rather not have it, personally.
I don't know. Data is power. Like, that's going to be one of the most valuable resources. I mean, other than time.
That's what makes people like Eisenhorn a fucking gold mine. When he's the one collecting a shitload of data for industry, a shitload of data for the markets, shitload of everything, and he's compiling it in a way that makes it readable for retards like me. He is going to be a gold mine.
There's always going to be someone who figures it out, though. I mean, so it's either available to everybody or it's available only to the people who can figure out a way to capture it.
which is better for me. It gives like players like Eisenhorn a place in a corp, and it's really important to have people like this within corps. Sam does the same thing with all of his spreadsheets. You need someone in your corp working on this stuff in the background. If you don't, you're going to be miles behind the people that do. And for me, not having an API puts more like it gives more to the people that are actually doing it than not. If you know what I'm saying.
I'm not laughing at you, so I'm laughing at Fish's brother opening the door and be like, nope.
Said spread. I heard a
I heard something
spreadsheet.
about spreadsheets.
He's like, I'm done.
Spreadsheets are not my thing either. Like I do spreadsheets for planetary production. That's it.
His nickname is Accelerator, and what I want him to help me figure out is a way to create some kind of, because he works in programming, he's engineer, programmer, blah, blah, blah. And I want to figure out a way to capture data in screenshot method using AI.
Did you guys say there was an API for this game?
No.
They're working on it. They're working on it.
With the help of the community, like you, crazy Swede, we can win against the crazy notions of Sov.
What kind of API are you guys? Are you guys trying to get like? Are you trying to just like get do gets for data, or are you actually wanting to be able to post as well? So like be able to like update.
Yes. So in EVE Online, you can get and give. You can get and post. You can do either way. But in EVE Echoes, if they have the give, fine. If they have the post, not good. Like there's a massive thing. I don't know if anyone knows about it, but if you want to search on Google about the fraternity, they literally have been for the past 10 years gathering everyone's information by giving a fake API name that was Python, which was used as a fitting tool. It's really cool story. Google it, check it out. It's on the Talking Stations had a whole massive thing about it, and Spodgermain spoke on Talking Stations about it. It was really interesting. Make sure that you go and find Talking Stations on Twitch, because every day if you enjoy the more statistics side of things, the more real, definitely check them out. They're really good every day. And if you like EVE Online stories, it's great because they have really good like guests every day that talk about all kinds of madness that happens.
That EVE Online war that's about to happen.
Massive, yeah. Well, because Test decided to. Well, Test and PanFam have gone together so many times. Then PanFam slaps Test halfway through the war, and then everyone just becomes a blue donut again. Like it happens so many times. PanFam just like decide, oh, we're gonna fight with them. Let's go fuck with the goons for a bit. Then the goons bitch slap both of them. Then PanFam bitch slaps Test, and then Test goes back to its corner. Like that's literally every time it happens.
I wonder who is going to be the team that bitch slaps people in Echoes.
Oh, goons are coming, so they'll probably be the same.
I mean, I definitely know a few players who are coming from goons, but I haven't seen as big of a turnout from them. But I mean, they're definitely going to be here, but there's been a lot of other politics that I think people don't really realize are already forming for Echoes. I mean, we've got Forest, we have tons of teams. I mean,
we have big mobile gaming teams as well now, like some large mobile gaming teams that are not even included in the test, not included in the Goon Swarms, the PanFam, your NC Dot, all of your null blocks. Half of them don't even know that the game exists, and the other half are angry about it because they feel it might take away from the game, I guess. But then you have OpForce, you have Trimarch. Trimarch's almost as big as OpForce, right? From the amount of players that you've just kicked out as well. He just went on a nice little dusting of the Trimarch and got rid of a lot of dead weight.
Yeah,
that's an involved leader in the team.
Yeah.
There'll be more of that as well before we get to release.
I mean, I'm sure. I don't know. Tal, do you know how many at the moment, rough estimates on how many players you're gaining a day in OpForce? I don't know if Apollo or Tal knows the answer to that one. We'll wait for that one in the chat. One of them's going to go do some calculations and come back. But I know, for instance, even my tiny little corp is gaining 10 to 20 players a day, and we've had to put people in queue now because we're not having multiple corps. So like the people in the queue are being told where they can go if they wish to jump into somewhere straight away. How's it going for you, Sam? How many per day are you getting, young man?
It depends on how rigorously we're advertising. If we're going hard trying to get people, we'll get 10 to 15 a day easy.
It's insane to me that it's still going, and it's been like 6 months since the game has been actively played, and there's still that many a day. It's insane.
But we're not getting a huge number out of Eve Echoes. We're getting a lot out of YouTube. Thanks, Sol. We're getting a fair few out of this stream. We're also getting a fair few out of Reddit. So we're diversified in a number of advertising streams, and we're getting them from everywhere.
This is going to be one of the. Fish brought it up about the groups of players that we already know are in. What about the groups of players that we don't know that are coming?
Yeah.
There's so many, right? I mean, there was a whole bunch of fleets that turned up to the beta fight.
That no one even knew existed.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah,
They just came out of nowhere.
Fleets just turn up.
Yeah, they had guns and tactics, and it was great. But at the same time, it's like, okay, fascinating.
I don't really want them turning up on my doorstep without me knowing.
No, but here's the thing. I have been speaking to a young lady of the Chinese community who is one of the biggest alliance leaders in SG, and she has told me that there will be. She knows of 6 corps of 3,000 plus members that are only mobile gaming corps.
Yep.
And they're all together.
Yeah.
And the thing is as well, right?
They're masked. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Fish. No, you carry on.
Oh, no, you go first.
I insist.
I'll go, fuck it. Right, so the Chinese corps. Let's go backwards and forwards. No, go on, Fish. What were you going to say, Fish?
I was just thinking, I think it's a lot of PC gamers are kind of hating on mobile gamers for a while, but really people, it's not that they don't want to be gamers, it's that just life happens and becomes busy. And I mean, again, for me as a personal experience, I was kind of a gamer growing up, not really hardcore dedicated, but I mean, maybe more of a player. My brother I was more of a player than a gamer. But then when Nam and I started dating, he quit and he started playing. He quit EVE Online and he played this mobile game, and that's what got me into this world. I mean, I was kind of coming in there just as a joke, and then I fell in love with it. So I think we're gonna see so many mobile gaming teams we don't even know. We're barely beginning to scratch the surface. I think there's gonna be a lot of influx of players, and it's gonna be it's going to be very interesting to see how EVE vets and mobile gamers take to each other, because from what I've noticed in the mobile gaming community, you do have things are a lot faster paced. You've got different personalities, just what's acceptable, and it's just a very different style. Does that make any sense?
Yes, no, it does. Here's an example of how I think old EVE Online players coming into this new mobile generation of players, they will not be able to have FCs that walk in and call Billy Bob a dirty little cunt nugget because he's not listening to the FC's orders. I don't believe.
Why not?
I just don't feel there's so many the differences in age differences and the differences in the type of players that we have on the mobile genre. I don't see they accept it. Huh?
Are you calling mobile players snowflakes?
No, I'm not calling them snowflakes. I'm just saying that I wouldn't take it anymore. I'm getting older now.
The respect needs to be earned.
Yeah, respect isn't so. You join a corp in EVE Online for the past 17 years, and you automatically have to respect one random geezer that just been thrown at you because he's an FC. I don't think that will happen anymore.
And let's face it, some of the audios out of some of those fleets are just unforgivable. That's grown men acting like children. Let's be honest, and that won't fly.
How do I? I've got to allow it.
One of the interesting St. Galaxy things is that and I only tried it for about a day because having been exposed to alpha, I just I was like, it's too bright and colorful, and there's too much going on, and I don't like it as much as Eve Echoes. But I think what has the potential to happen is that a lot of players who've maybe been playing that and not dove into Eve Echoes yet, are aware of its existence, are just waiting, because it is so much more, and it might sound a little bit snobbish, but there's so much more in there, content wise, and just a much more meaty sandwich, that I think it's going to be a very attractive move for a lot of those players to come in.
I don't think that's too forthright to say. I totally 100% agree. I think like in Second Galaxy, you really can't loot someone else's ship and then sell that stuff on the market. I mean, there's a bunch of fucking currencies, and I don't know. I played Second Galaxy for a brief period in the beginning just because I wanted to see what it was about, and I had a lot of friends migrate from Nova Empire into Second Galaxy, and it was a pretty big shit show. And I don't know. I just think there's a lot more limitation in that game than there will, and there is going to be some limitations in Echoes. But then if we want to push forward and talk to the devs, I also believe that the devs in Echoes are actually going to listen to that, versus in Second Galaxy, I did a lot of research on Xylon games and I was not impressed. So I'm not going to spend a bunch of time, invest my time, where I know the gaming development company is probably going to just ignore my requests. And then also in terms of customer support, it sucks when you're spending money on a game and then you ask for, hey, something went wrong, something didn't happen well, and you just get copy paste. Sorry, this happened to you. Our team will get back to you. And that's bullshit. Like, I don't want to be spending. That doesn't become a lifestyle. That doesn't become a hobby. That's just a game. I think Eve Echoes becomes a hobby, becomes a lifestyle because of the extra layer of effort in customer support and in involvement in the community.
But do you think that support and involvement is going to be as effective in the global side, or do you think it's going to be rather concentrated on the Chinese side when that starts up?
I think it's going to... I want to hear a soft answer.
We already know that the development team for Eve Echoes has put a shitload more time and effort into the Chinese websites and the Chinese-based stuff. We know that everyone's posting it every day in the Eve Echoes Discord. You have to understand that the developers are Chinese. They have a different culture. They have a different way of doing things. Their social media is different. As Sam told me today, I didn't even know that was a thing, that their social media is different. We had to explain to them that content creators are actually a big influence on gaming in the Western societies. They didn't understand that. That's why they've now added the content creators program. So like now we have all of this stuff going on. And it took them a little time to do it. But I think with time, they will actually work to be more interactive with the Western side. You have to understand they don't speak our language either. So half of them don't speak our language. Okay, now it's Fisher's turn.
I definitely think they're going to be focused on the international community. I mean, they're launching international server before the Chinese server.
That's so the Chinese players don't get pissed off and leave when it's all fucked up.
I do think that these are players. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of just always looking at like races. I do also believe meeting them personally in like face to face. I mean, I'm meeting Exile. He's passionate about the game.
100%.
He's very passionate about the game. Very, very passionate. He played the game for. I remember Nomix was the one who asked in CCP Rax's discussion or presentation. He asked, "Hey, how long has the NetEase team been playing Echoes?" And Exile said, "Oh, over 14 years." That's exciting to me. That means he is a gamer. He is excited. I don't necessarily look at it in terms of like, oh, which race are they going to be focusing on? I kind of look at it as they're going to do their best to produce an amazing game. And that's my hopes. And I feel like they've been listening. I feel like they've been very involved. And really, again, it kind of goes back to we're pioneers. Things we don't like, we're rally the community and really push that forward. Whereas in other mobile games, if everybody votes down something, puts a game at 1 star, the gaming community, the developers usually just ignore it and just say, well, whatever, you're not our target audience. You're just, they don't look for the long retention. And I think in EVECOs, there's going to be a lot more value, a lot more worth to those longer, those retention in the longer players, because those are where the real stories are at. That's why content creation is so amazing when you have a player who's been in the game for 5 years. Imagine a mobile game that we stick with for 5 years. I mean, I play Clash Royale, but that's nothing. That's what kind of mobile game do people stick with that they play every single day? That's like a hobby like that. Does that, you know what I mean?
I'm trying to think of one. I don't have one. I don't know one either. Candy Crush. My mum plays that for like 10 years.
Yeah, but there's no storyline there, really, is there?
To her, there's a storyline.
But I agree, and just to mention something Crazy Sweet said, yeah, it's not so much about race, it's about language. It's about that if the devs don't speak the language so well or so easily, they are less encouraged to interact. And if they've got a massive group of native speakers to interact with, they're going to focus on that. Unless we get a dedicated dev team and moderator set that is and will have the power and game interaction to handle the tech support on an English speaking level, it's not going to be very good.
Well, they have right. So the plans at the moment, they have got people coming who speak English very fluently. We currently have way more people now working with the developers who speak fluent English and fluent Chinese. And for people like myself and Fish and other content creators and people who are closer to the development team, have a steady way of being able to speak to people now, which is much better than when we first started, because we had to wait for Google Translates to come through. And as we know, if you're putting simplified Chinese into Google Translate, you'll end up with a mountain, sky, fish, falls down river. Like it's really, really bad. And Exile, speaking of Exile and how well he did, if you have something in the game that you believe is EVE Online True Heart, is something that has been changed or force changed in EVE Echoes that you think is, I will put money on Exile being the main driving force behind those changes. He is pushing. He's the reason why alphas no longer have those restrictions. If it wasn't for him, they would be restricted to fuck and you'd have to pay everything. You wouldn't have any. He fought for the changes to being able to trade in ITCs. He fought for the change. Even now, he's fighting for the cognitive to be bought by Plex. Mm-hmm. So you can Plex it for free as a free-to-play player. He is pushing for that himself. That's the kind of guy he is. He really cares about EVE. He's been playing there since the launch of the game. Like, he really loves it. So for him is just what he is working towards, his dream of creating his EVE experience. He obviously has to jump. He has to jump through corporate hoops. Everyone does. You have to go through the hoops of like, this is what your investors want. You have to, like, money is needed to create the game, and to create the game there has to be sacrifices made for the investors, because we're not giving money yet. They don't have their back end yet. So we'll see.
Definitely we'll see.
That's my rant out of my little bit of 2 cents out of the way. Yeah.
But I agree with what you said in terms of Westerners really do value content creators, because content creators help kind of bring the storyline where there's the game, but then there's real life, and the content creators kind of merge the two in a way. And I do think that there is so much more value in having a person who has played the game for like 5-10 years. And I just really, again, haven't seen that in a mobile game. So that's something I'm very excited to see. I know it's going to take patience. It's going to be a few years. But, I mean, the longest I made it through a mobile game was probably like a kind of a similar space war conquest type of game, was about 2 years. And then it was just the painful updates and the gross monetization was like, yeah, our story stopped before it could even start. So when the game starts, it's going to be free for all. I mean, it's going to be just free for all in terms of territory. The market's going to be fucking chaotic, and it's going to be interesting to see, to say the least.
It's 100%. And there's a thing that Lord Towan here just said: Echoes is destined to become legendary. The main fact for me with the monetization that Echoes is putting out there, that NetEase have decided for the global server. We don't know what the monetization is going to be like for the Chinese server. We've heard rumors and blah, blah, blah about them not being able to have subscriptions, which is weird, but it's something that is actually, they don't actually are allowed to do in their gaming development teams, I guess. But like what the monetization is going through for the global server could change the way in which MMOs on mobile are monetized. That is the biggest thing for me, where they haven't really, currently, this could blow back in my face in 1 year's time, and someone puts a thing up here saying, Sov, you turned around and said this was good for the mobile community and they just fucked us. No, like for the moment, they're not selling ships. They're not selling skill points directly, skill points, no injectors, no extractors, etc. yet. That may come in later. But the monetization made so much better than what I thought, and I'm an optimist, so much better than what I even thought was coming. And it could... They make a lot of money, and this goes really well. This could spell a new line for mobile monetization. It could be better for everyone. That's my opinion.
I think it. Certainly it's built for longevity, which is great news for us.
Yes.
And as you said, it's very reasonably costed. You know, if you just want to play the game and have access to everything, $5, you know, in their hand, you got that every month. And if EVE Echoes takes off like EVE Online did, and it's coming from a running start, right? EVE Echoes, EVE Online began, and I think when I rewatched the live stream actually from so long ago, March the 18th or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, CCP were talking there about, you know, how long it had been going, where it came from. It was very optimistic beginnings. And Echoes has got such a solid base that there's every chance that this has the legs to succeed in crikey. If there's 1.2 million people signed up already, not even gone live yet, and what's it going to be like in 6 months if it's successful? Like, my mind boggles.
Just like to thank Omniton for the Prime. Thank you very much. Thank you. Give me some nice support emoji. I don't even know that was a thing. That's how much I pay attention to Twitch. Like, I didn't even know I got those things.
That's awesome. Well, I will say, as amazing as this talk has been, we always have to keep players interested for the next chat, which I think I would love to highlight and dive deeper into the world of scamming for the next week's show. Really talk about the different layers or levels of scamming, the kind of trickery that players can have among one another, and then also ways to combat that. That would be definitely an awesome kind of series of follow-up for next week's show.
100%. I think we should really go into that. We should get together during the week and put a load of stories together and get as many of the scams as we remember. A lot of scams have changed over the years, so we'll probably have to do a little bit of research, but we'll definitely go into that. That will be a very interesting thing to go through. And actually, like, we've been talking for so long that we've been live for like 2 hours. I think we need to start cutting it short. Like, literally, I set an hour aside on a Saturday, and we end up here for like hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, 2 hours. So I'd like for everyone to start giving their hola, raid, hola, ¿cómo estás? So I'd like to say, Sam, if you want to post the Discord for Trimark in the chat there, sir, and give a little sales pitch on the Trimark Industries.
Trimark Heavy Industries? Well, yeah. Fuck it. We take everyone. We're gonna set up our high stick and null stick industry, our empire, as it were, and we're gonna see what we can make of this new game.
Fantastic. And if you'd like to join Sovereign States, you'll be in a queue, so don't even bother applying. Not yet anyway. We don't know how it's going to go at the moment, so like if people do want to join us, please let me know. You can DM me, we can get some information, but we do have a queue at the moment, so that's a thing that we have there. If you're seeing this on YouTube, all of the links for everyone's stuff will also be in the description at the bottom. If you want the queen of OBS, Fish, if you'd like to give your sales pitch and your link to your Discord.
Queen, more like Overlord.
Overlord.
Yes. I'm Fish, and I am with Obsidian, Strength and Honor. We are going to be a mostly PvP-based corp. We are interested in some players who are interested a little bit in industry, but mainly PvP. And yeah, we're excited to just get into the game, learn the game mechanics, and then kind of just go from there.
Fantastic. And would you also like to... You're
Pardon?
under attack, mate. You're under attack. If you want to, Fish, if you want to also talk about Talking in Stations a little bit, and then post that link in there.
Yeah, of course. Talking in Stations is an amazing EVE news crew that brings you delivers stories about EVE, the world of EVE Online, and we are going to be branching out and doing an EVE Echoes show once the game is released, and kind of look to maybe give Sovereign a nice break on his Saturdays and hopefully feature those shows on Sundays so that we can kind of have a nice break in between.
Yes.
Sovereign works so hard. He's kind of been the main content creator so far.
So far, until the game launches, and there'll be like 4 million subscriber content creators for mobile coming in and just brushing us aside. Don't forget us.
Not at all. Not at all. Hey, it's all about quality, not quantity.
It's true. Someone simps for me. I've got my first simp. Oh, just beautiful. I didn't even know what a simp was until last week, so I'm just completely devoid of internet stuff. Right, so actually we're going to cut it there because I need to go look after my 4-week-old son who seems to be pissing the missus off. I want to thank everyone for coming who came today and watching. If you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and all of the links for all of the content creators and the Discords for the corps will be in the description. Also, please do check out OpForce, another alliance, a large alliance for the mobile community with content creators with us as well. If someone wants to link the OpForce Discord in the chat, that would be great. Thank you for coming. Avoid local chat scams, and I'll see you next week for when we talk about scams.